So you think you've killed your metabolism. How are you going to fix it? Let's talk about that. Fuckers, Josh here, Uncaged Fighter. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about a question that pops up quite frequently. It is basically it's hey Josh, I've killed my metabolism. I'm not losing weight. I've stalled. I've hit a true stall. How do I fix it? And this phrase, killed my metabolism, having a dead metabolism, originally comes from Cole Robinson, Snake Diet Channel. That's kind of his phrasing for it, but the concept of like a downgrade of the metabolic process is something that we've been familiar with for a while in the exercise fitness community for a long time. It's generally associated with really harsh dieting, extended for long periods of time, right? And basically it's just it's too much dieting for too long, and generally it's coupled with a lack of movement. And we'll kind of explain that a little bit in a second. But we see it a lot with the sorry, I had a little alert. Second video in a row that shit's happened. What the fuck? All right. We see it a lot with in the snake diet, in the kind of extended fasting community, and that's where it's probably easiest to recognize. Like sometimes when you're on a regular diet, you'll be on a regular calories in, calories out kind of diet, or maybe even like a ketogenic, low carb style diet. And you'll hit a plateau. And a lot of times people freak out when they kind of hit that plateau. Like, yeah, I was losing weight really good, and then all of a sudden I hit a plateau. And Derek at More Plates, More Dates, that channel, he actually has a really good video on cutting and kind of mentions this and makes a really good point that a lot of people just don't, they hit that plateau, and what they need to do is ride it out. Because a lot of times that's all it is. It's especially with women. Men and women both get it, but especially with women, sometimes you just need to ride out the plateau, and what you'll find is that you'll actually continue to drop weight. A lot of people freak out, and they think, oh, no, I've got to drop even more calories out of my diet, and they kind of do that a little bit prematurely. And for those of us that fast, those of us that do like extended fasting, there are no additional calories to cut out. I mean, you could extend the fast for a little bit longer, but usually that ends up kind of making the problem a little bit worse. So if you've been dieting, if you've been fasting, and I'm going to speak just to the fasters here, if you've been fasting too long, too often, and you're not really getting enough movement, because that's another key element too, you're going to, like Cole says, you're going to kill your metabolism. All those metabolic functions are going to downgrade. And your body is going to, essentially, I think the old phraseology for it was going into starvation mode, right? That's basically what you're going into. And so we want to avoid that. And kind of circling back around to the lack of movement part. So what will sometimes happen when you're in a caloric deficit, and I mean, that's essentially just what fasting is. It's a huge caloric deficit, right? What a person will do is, they may get a little bit lazier. Like some of their workouts aren't quite as intense, or they may skip workouts, or they may, it may be something a little less noticeable, like they're not moving around during the day as much. Maybe they're sleeping in a little bit more. Just little small things here or there that seem small at first, but they add up. And that can really affect the overall metabolic requirements, the overall caloric requirements. So we want to address that as well. So if you've gotten into a position where you truly believe that you have crashed your metabolism, that it's it needs to be revived. It's actually a really easy, simple process. I do want to caution you to make sure that you have really crashed your metabolism. And some signs of that are, extended periods, not just like a week, but like extended periods of little to no weight loss, right? So, I mean, if you're going a few weeks without seeing any sort of real weight loss, maybe like a pound, half a pound here or there over the course of a couple weeks, that's a big issue. If you're experiencing symptoms of like serious like lethargy, like you're just tired, you're just exhausted all the time. I mean, and in fasting, you're going to be a little bit more tired, and you're not going to be able to push quite as hard in the gym, but it's going to be of a different type and of a different quality of lethargy, and you'll notice it. And I mean, you really kind of have to be a little bit in tune to your body, and I'll just assume that you kind of have a good idea of what that looks like for you. If you're experiencing those symptoms, lack of weight loss, lack of energy, lack of motivation, for more than a week, and especially more than 2 weeks, then yeah, you probably have killed your metabolism. And then that's when you need to start looking at ways that you can get things back, get back on top of things. And so generally what I recommend, and what I found that kind of works for me when I do this is, which has only really happened to me once, but what I did for it and what I've had other people do for it, and it seems to work pretty well, is to and Cole, this is some of these ideas come from Cole. The first thing is to make sure that you are constantly moving all the time. That's going to be your first thing. Get back onto over the summer he was big on this, is that kind of constant movement thing where he's just standing he talked about standing all day. He talked about walking everywhere he went. I don't know if you necessarily have to go that far, but you really need to make sure that you are moving more throughout the day, not just during your workouts, but you're up and moving and active throughout the day, throughout the week. So get that up, make sure you're moving more, make sure your workouts are on point, maybe throw in a little bit of extra cardio at the end of your workouts, 10 minutes, something like that. Throw that in on the end of your like lifting workouts. And then the second thing that you need to do, is eat at a maintenance for about a week, maybe 2 weeks. All right, just to get things kind of back to normal. All right, so where you're going to be eating back at what's like normal, right? So your maintenance calories for a week, and you're going to be moving more. And so those maintenance calories will help you move more, right? And, you'll be able to push harder in the gym. You'll be able to move more just out and about. And you will be consuming... oh, man, I lost my train of thought here. Okay, yeah, so you're gonna be moving more. You're gonna be eating more, so it's gonna fuel the ability to move more. So they work synergistically together. And you'll get to a point where your body's like, okay, good, we're back to normal, and that's when you can go back to fasting and kind of drop some of that weight. Now I'm not saying eat at a surplus calorie. I'm not saying eat, above maintenance, because then you'll kind of maybe lose some of the progress that you've made. That may not be the worst thing in the world. You might be able to eat a slight caloric surplus for a week or two, like 200 calories extra a day, and that might be fine. But I think for the most part, people going back to eating maintenance calories, and then ramping their workouts back up. Because if you've been on a diet, you've been fasting, your workouts probably been kind of like low level compared to what you're used to. So, eating those extra calories will help you work out harder in the gym, and you'll be able to move better. So we do those two things, and that kind of works some magic. It really does. You'll notice that once you go after that week or 2 weeks, I wouldn't go more than 2 weeks. You go back to the fasting, and you go back to that to get that last bit of weight off that you've been trying to get off. You'll notice you'll just come right off. I do want to caution you because fasting has a tendency to reduce the amount of water that you kind of retain in your body. It reduces that kind of like the amount of water your skeletal muscle retains, the first thing you'll notice is a huge jump in weight, but not a huge jump in weight, but you'll notice a jump in weight. And I want to caution you, don't get worried about that. That's just water weight, okay? You know, so just don't freak out when you do it the first time. That's just straight up water weight. You know, and I think, like, as a community, we need to do a better job on educating people the difference between, like, actual fat weight loss and water weight being lost. Not enough people really understand that concept. You know, I can carry a shit ton of water weight. My body is really fucking good at carrying water weight. So I can fluctuate wildly in the amount of weight that I carry on my frame, and it's all water weight. So you may be like me, you may not be like me. I don't know, but keep in mind that that initial jump in weight is just going to be water weight. But yeah, so kind of rambling just a little bit. I'm going to have in the comments section a link to a good calculator that will help you figure out how to get what your maintenance calories are. So if you're not sure, hey, what's my maintenance calories? I've got a calculator there for you, and you just enter in all the relevant information and press that calculate button, and it'll pop that right out for you. You know, I wouldn't go above that number. Okay, sorry, technical difficulties there. Yeah, so, you know, enter in your information into the calorie calculator, and you know, it'll pop out the value for you, and just stick to those numbers for about a week, maybe 2 weeks. Don't fudge the numbers. Don't fudge the questions on there. Like, make sure your height is accurate. Make sure your weight is accurate. Make sure your age is accurate. Make sure your activity level is accurate. Don't, like, fuck around and say, oh, I work out way more than I actually do, because it's going to fuck up your calories and it's going to turn you into a fat ass. So don't do that. Be honest with it, okay? You know, because, yeah, we're trying to get you somewhere, and you're not, you know, it's just a calculator. You're not impressed, you know, there's no one to impress. I mean, I've literally, the reason I say this is I've had clients who have grossly overestimated the amount of activity they actually do in a given week, in a given day. And, you know, they're like, you know, and I'm doing the calculation for them, but, you know, they're kind of fibbing to me about what their activity level is during the week. And they're like, you know, that they're gaining weight. They'll gain weight. And, you know, it's because I'm giving them these extra calories for, you know, for their daily eating, and they're just, it's too much. So make sure you're really honest in the calculator when you're running those numbers. And, yeah, so that's all I've got. So, guys, that is it for today's video. Sorry about that little technical issue had just a moment there. But if you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comments section. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. I really like it. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and hitting that bell icon so you get the updates. Talk to you guys later. Good. Keep it up.